is achieveradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
Welcome, everybody, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here at achieveradio.com. Happy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever day of the week it happens to be that you're listening to this broadcast, now being broadcast live, but maybe you're listening to the archive, and maybe it's tomorrow, and maybe it's 10 years from now, but the most important thing is you are tuning in to the most important information on the planet right now, I would have to say, and also turning into one of the most amazing, tuned in herself, cosmic doctors ever in the history of the whole wide world, Dr. Carolyn Dean. I'm Ginny Sanders, going to be your co-host tonight with Dr. Dean, who is the doctor of the future. But I'm adding a title tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I am saying that not only is she the doctor of the future, but she is the doctor of all conscious life. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, and you're going to hear more about that tonight. Let me just say, I'm going to share a little bit of a testimonial with you. Good friend that I've known and experienced, an incredible man of incredible foresight and inspiration himself, our good friend Bert, conducted a RNA drops experiment by adding RNA drops to his fish pond and found out some very interesting things. Now, where are the RNA drops coming from? Well, they're coming from Dr. Carolyn Dean, the doctor of the future and the doctor of all conscious life. This is her creation, ladies and gentlemen. Just another fabulous and fascinating thing that she's adding to her already amazing repertoire of formulas that she's providing for all of humankind, whosoever will, to take advantage not only of what we know is possible and what we know is required by the body, magnesium, minerals, so on and so forth, all other good things, but also the unknown that we don't know that is encompassed in her fabulous formula of the RNA drop. So, again, a doctor, a naturopath, an herbalist, an acupuncturist, a consultant, a writer, an author, an editor-in-chief of her own works and the works of many others. I mean, the list goes on forever. And now the doctor of all conscious life is with us this evening. So happy to have her. Hello, Claire. Hello, Nancy. Hello, Belinda. Hello, all of our regular listeners. Super Dougie, everybody, strap yourself in for another amazing 2-hour show with Dr. Carolyn Dean. Welcome tonight, Carolyn.
Thank you, Ginny, the doctor of all conscious life. Oh, my gosh. How can I live up to that? I'll just do better. That's all. I'll do better than that.
Too late. It already happened. It already happened. You already are the doctor of all conscious life. Did you see Bert's testimonial?
I sure did, and actually I had it in my list here to say because, yes, he's been rinsing out the bottom of his RNA reset drops over the past couple of years, I think, and the fish doctor came along and said his fish had no parasites. The pond water was the best quality of any water that in his practice, and he said something about in an email back and forth with Bert. Bert said something about he thinks the RNA drops are scaring a local crane, or he's scaring it away, and the drops are helping the fish. So he sort of made probably like a comedy of what's going on. And I said, okay, maybe the cranes are just going after weak fish, just like the radish experiment, the bugs and the worms just went after the weak plants, as people know are RNA Reset webinar, you can see me videoing the two different plots of radishes, where one plot with our RNA Reset drops mash, like from whence we get the RNA drops. We squish out the barley and all that, all the stems and fibers from the barley. There are fertilizer. So one plot produced 85 pounds of radishes that had the mash in it, and the other plot with no mash produced 3 pounds of radishes that were saleable. The criteria was, will someone buy this? The plot that did not have the mash, the worms, as I said, and the bugs got after the plants because they were weak. So I'm saying that nature culls the weakest creatures and plants. And if you've got really, really healthy fish, then the cranes and whatever won't go after them. They look for, maybe they look for the weak fish or animal to attack because it's easier to attack, but maybe there is a higher order where they're not going to take something that's awesome and try to kill it off. I don't know. It was just a thought I had, Ginny. I thought you'd like that.
Cool. Very cool. But I think it's fabulous that we have an open opportunity to experiment and to ponder and pontificate, and that this opportunity is being provided with us in conjunction with our customers, because we have great customers who give us all kinds of feedback and help us dial into these things. So, yeah, I think great thoughts.
Okie doke. So we will launch right into, after that little sidebar. There's so many sidebars today. Ginny sent out her blog about our show today that we're going to be talking about heart failure. Now, I jumped to heart failure because, unfortunately, when people are diagnosed with any sort of heart disease, blood pressure, or they have angina or even peripheral circulatory problems, immediately they're put on medications, and unfortunately, those medications seem to cause worsening of symptoms because all the medications seem to make you depleted in magnesium, and then you're more susceptible to heart symptoms. So here's what the blog says, and it's taken from, I think, a blog I've written about how hearts don't fail, the doctors are failing the patients. And you can follow along with this blog at drcarolyndeanlive.com. And that area will have a journal article at the top. It's always going to stay at the top. And the journal article is called Subclinical Magnesium Deficiency, a principal driver of cardiovascular disease and a public health crisis. And Ginny has written in there that I request that everyone print up this scientific review article to give to your doctors, your friends, and family, because magnesium deficiency has been declared a public health crisis, and taking magnesium saves lives. So that's what you're going to find every time you go to Dr. Carolyn Dean Live and click. Well, you don't have to click. It's right on the home page, and the description follows about how we've got bad measurements for magnesium. People are deficient because doctors just aren't looking at magnesium. The blog today, Preventing Heart Failure, what you need to know. Now, that does sound like we're being medical there, but what we're doing is supporting the structure and function of the heart with magnesium, our Remite minerals, as well as the B vitamins in Realign, supporting the structure and function of the heart so that you'll prevent heart failure in yourself. And this epidemic of heart failure that we're seeing is because doctors are failing to treat magnesium deficiency. which is the underlying cause of heart disease and subsequent heart failure in a great number of people, a vast majority of people, as we're finding out. The problem begins, I say, with the very name that doctors use for this disease. They don't seem to realize that a declaration that the patient's heart is failing sets the patient up for just that. So their words are very unprofessional, I think, when they give a person that name, give them that attack. Actually, it's attack on the psyche to say, well, you're going to have heart failure. Let me see. 1 million people are hospitalized with heart failure each year. 1 million people, and about 250,000 will be back in the hospital within a month. If we could, now this is a quote from a 2013 issue of Medical Journal, talking about the high hospital readmission rate of heart failure. And they say if we could keep even 2% of these people from coming back to the hospital, that could equal a savings of more than $100 million a year. And I say if we could give everyone REMAG and prevent them from ever having to enter a hospital for heart failure, we could save billions. High on the list of signs and symptoms of heart failure is an enlarged heart, especially the left ventricle. And that's a predictor of the cardiovascular events up to and including heart failure. An important study found that low serum magnesium is one of the strongest predictors of increased left ventricular mass over a 5-year period. Why aren't doctors using that measurement in improving patients' magnesium levels to prevent heart failure? Now, as I've said many times, serum magnesium is not even that accurate a test, but when it is very low, you're definitely very deficient, very depleted in magnesium. And, they do the measurements on heart failure. Ejection fraction gauges the strength of the heart muscles, and what you can do to support the structure of the heart muscles is use magnesium and try to cut back on calcium, for example. And we go on in this blog, instead of reading the scientific literature and incorporating magnesium, doctors have a standardized treatment using about 6 different drugs, and they give them in a blister pack. So what's happened in medicine is because there are so many tens of thousands of drugs, they have had to resort to recipe medicine. They call them practice guidelines, and they say it's a standard treatment, standard practice of medicine. And if you give those drugs and if they cause all kinds of side effects, there's no repercussions on the doctor because it's the standard practice of medicine. Even worse, people tell me their doctors warn them not to take magnesium in case it interferes with their medication. How has it come to the point where patients are being warned not to take something that's as important as air, food, and water because it will lessen their need for drugs? What has occurred to cause doctors to distrust necessary nutrients and prescribe drugs for life? So it's the focus on drug-based medicine. It's a standard practice, and it's been encouraged by drug companies who fund most, if not all, of the medical research. Cardiologists are convinced that the natural progression of heart disease is to develop into heart failure. And that's why they're putting patients on preventive doses of blood pressure drugs, statins, diabetic drugs, earlier and earlier, because they think inevitably they're going to have heart failure if they don't. But they don't realize that putting a person on all these drugs is part of the cause. It's hard to, when I'm reading something like this, I think this is just, it doesn't make sense that doctors are doing this, but everybody knows, and most of the people who listen to the show have been on meds. That's why they're here, and they kind of understand what doctors are doing, and they're trying to get out from under it all. So preventing heart failure begins with becoming magnesium saturated for the following reasons. Magnesium prevents muscle spasms of the blood vessels in the heart, which can lead to heart attack and treatment with meds. Magnesium prevents muscle spasms of the peripheral blood vessels, which can lead to high blood pressure and treatment with meds. Magnesium prevents calcium buildup in cholesterol plaque in arteries, which leads to clogged arteries, atherosclerosis, stroke, and treatment with meds. So everything just is lined up to treat all these conditions with meds. And people think, well, the doctor's helping me. They're doing what they're supposed to do, give me meds, whereas they've never really looked at nutrients. They never tell people to go on a diet or avoid sugar, et cetera, et cetera. And Ginny ends the blog with, February has been designated as Heart Month, but in my world, every day is a new opportunity to take more people off the magnesium deficiency list and place them firmly on the magnesium saturation list. I guess we're both saying that. Now, what's interesting, probably Heart Month comes in February because of Valentine's Day. And I looked up a few words about Valentine's Day. It's not a federal holiday, excuse me, but it's become one of our most popular holidays. The National Retail Federation estimates that Americans will spend almost $20 billion celebrating this day. Over one half of consumers will purchase some kind of high caloric sweet treat to share with loved ones. February 14th is now firmly established as the heart holiday, offering a special opportunity to raise funds for heart disease. Now, how ironic is everything I've said there, where we talk about supporting the heart, with sugar, and take those funds to study heart disease and find out, well, it's caused by sugar. I mean, how crazy. But the whole sugar thing is very interesting. I'm finally going to finish writing my sugar book, and I started it back in the late 80s, I guess, into the 90s. And that's when I got attacked by my licensing board for saying bad things about sugar on a national TV show in Canada. So I just sort of gave it up after that. I said, okay, you win for now. And, of course, 30 years later, it all comes to the fore that sugar is causing so many problems. It's amazing. So while catching up on what's been going on in sugar research, I'm reading 5 different sugar books. Now, the best one is Sugar Crush by Richard Jacoby. He's a medical nerve surgeon. He mostly operates on feet for peripheral neuropathies and I suppose gangrene. He's removing toes, etc., but not before he tells people about the crush that sugar can cause on nerves. The full title of the book is Sugar Crush: How to Reduce Inflammation, Reverse Nerve Damage, and Reclaim Good Health. It's really a book that's worthy of reading every word. On Amazon, the doctors that blurb it say, Sugar Crush brings laser focus to the powerfully detrimental role of sugar and carbohydrates as direct toxins, not just to peripheral nerves, but to the body in general. Dr. Jacoby has the uncanny ability to recognize relationships in seemingly unrelated fields. The book is a great contribution to the lay literature, another weapon in our fight against obesity and diabetes. And some doctor calls it an intriguing detective story. And from the back cover, it goes into the sugar, chronic inflammation plus trauma lead to nerve damage, pain, and dysfunction. So it's, you can just read a sample of the book and and see what Dr. Jacoby is talking about. But what I realized is in my own world of sugar that I've really kind of avoided not eating any sugar. That get a double or triple negative in there. Okay, there's several things I want to say. I used to have yeast overgrowth, so I avoided sugar like the plague for years, and it helped somewhat, but it wasn't until I took Remag that things really sorted themselves out. And then with all the products, I thought, oh, well, I can eat sugar, I'm okay. And I have done, and even on the keto diet, I'll have my berries and cream. I brag about that. But in my 4-mile walk, I've been noticing, and, for quite a while I've been noticing that my feet will be burning. My toes and the bottom of my feet will kind of have a burning sensation at the end of the walk. And I've changed my socks, I changed my shoes, and it doesn't happen all the time. So I did an experiment where I didn't eat carbs for a few days, and then I had the cauliflower pizza without any fat enhancements, and I had my berry dessert. And the next morning when I did my 4 miles, my feet burned. So I'm actually hurting myself with the amount of sugar or carbs I can be taking. And it may be because I've had decades and decades of sugar intake and have done some damage, and it hasn't reversed yet because I keep feeding the sugar. Now, this is kind of a shock. I mean, I know people don't want to hear that they have to give up sugar entirely. They want to believe that it's okay to eat some, or it's okay to binge or indulge, or that because we're on the complement formulas, we get a pass. But I'm telling you that I'm going to be stricter, and I'm going to be stricter with people when I say, as Dr. Fung says, why do you keep eating sugar and taking insulin to keep your sugar down when all you have to do is stop sugar? And Dr. Jacoby is saying the same thing. Why do you allow yourself to have irritating symptoms of burning, numbness, tingling of your feet and toes when now you're learning it's about the sugar intake? Why not stop the sugar instead of going on medications? That's where Neurontin, gabapentin is being prescribed a lot to help with these symptoms of sugar burn. I'm going to call it sugar burn. And it's I think, a human endeavor to kind of sugarcoat things. I had another sidebar note here to mention these seminars that I get the emails from this group, HCF seminars, and I'm saying they're capitalizing on the fasting fad. This seems to be a group of doctors and researchers who view water fasting as too harsh, so they're trying to soften it and sugarcoat it for people. They're trying to make fasting about the research findings and say that their plant-based meals 5 days every 3 months can have the same effect as fasting. So first of all, it's plant-based, which wouldn't be helpful for me. And why buy a product for 5 days for a couple $100 when you can just stop eating? And of course, what we do during fasting or intermittent fasting is keep taking the complement formulas, which gives the natural layering of nutrients that actually make fasting, if not a pleasant experience, at least something doable. So it's interesting, and fasting is not popular with many doctors because they can't make money from just telling people to fast. So be wary of that. Just go for the simple solution instead of kind of looking for the easy way out. And I know, how many times have I said that vegans and vegetarians, they kind of encourage their protocols by saying you could eat all the fruit you want and eat and still have the sweetness of a diet to take away from what I think is a blandness in a plant-based diet. So I've done the same with my berries and heavy whipping cream. I'm indulging when, I'm now realizing that I am getting sugar crushed. So what happens when you eat sugar? I've said before, when you take something with 10 teaspoons of sugar, which just has to be a soda or a dessert, milkshake has about 27 teaspoons of sugar. At any one time in your bloodstream, there are only 2 teaspoons of glucose sugar that your body wants to work with. When you have excess sugar, your body pushes out a lot of insulin to make that glucose disappear into our cells in order to work in the Krebs cycle for energy, etc. The excess sugar, what happens with that, and I really got this clear lately reading Dr. Jacoby's book, is this sugar binds with proteins that it finds in the blood. They're called advanced glycation end products. Glycation implies, that's a sugar. So they're binding up, and when they bind up with certain proteins or lipids in cells, they can produce something called sorbitol. It's alcohol sugar. And I don't quite understand exactly what's going on, but this sorbitol will stay in the cells. It can't get back out if it's created in the cells. It doesn't have a way to get back out of the cells. The sugar sorbitol, sugar alcohol, will attract water. It will swell up the cell, which is inflammation, cellular inflammation. And these swollen cells start pushing on the nerves. And that's where you get this peripheral neuropathy. Now, it's going to be pushing on all the nerves, but it's not until you have a bit of trauma, such as walking for 4 miles, that you will start to kind of inflame your feet with the aggravation of walking plus the inflammation of the sorbitol that will give you the nerve pain. So it is quite fascinating. I don't mean to be scary, but rather to tell you that there is a solution to even more symptoms than you ever thought of, because what we've got with Dr. Jacoby's work is he's advancing it into Alzheimer's and saying that the sugar is really important in the development of Alzheimer's. Some researchers are actually causing Alzheimer's diabetes type 3. And wouldn't that be incredible if you could stop sugar and have a treatment for Alzheimer's? Instead, people are given Ensure and these protein powders that are mostly sugar. So the whole condition is being aggravated. He's talking about cancer and how it is well known that the rapidly dividing cells of cancer demand more and more sugar. So they're just very happy with someone who's eating a lot of sugar. There's a lot of research on diabetics have a higher incidence of cancer. And again, it's a matter of just stopping the sugar. And I mean, there's more to it. I'll keep talking about this in future shows, but I have so much going around in my brain now about these advanced glycation end products. Actually, let me just say that to find out how much sugar is in the body, they use a lab test called hemoglobin A1C. People know it, H small g, capital A, numeral 1, capital C. It's sugar attaching to hemoglobin and then being measured. So what's going on with your hemoglobin when it's being attached to sugar? It's not acting like hemoglobin anymore. So you have that going on where you're losing access to your hemoglobin. You have sugar increased in the blood, which makes it thicker. And this is this whole business about people needing blood thinners because their blood is thick. And we just tell people drink more water, put sea salt in it, and now stop eating sugar. So how many conditions are there that are being created by sugar, binding up with proteins and fats and causing sorbitol, binding up with hemoglobin, causing hemoglobin A1C, these advanced glycation end products? How many are there? I mean, until I put my mind to it, I didn't realize that this simple test for diabetes and prediabetes is actually a disease sign. It's a sign of a disease, of diabetes, of course, but it's also a sign that when sugar is binding to any protein, it's going to inhibit some sort of metabolic process. So, Ginny, what do you think of all those words?
Excellent. Very depressing. I would rather not consider it right now. Sugar, as one of our people types in on the chat line, sugar. Okay, fine. I can give it up. Please explain the positive effects of wine, i.e. the sugar element of wine. Am I giving up wine too and alcohol? I thought it was interesting that Jason Fung and DiNicolantino have wine on their food pyramid along with green tea, and they've got red wine, green tea, and coffee on their food pyramid. And they're, well-researched and this and that, and they're advocates for, a ketogenic diet. They're not even calling their food pyramid ketogenic because I don't think they're holding as fast to the 20 grams of carbs as they are to, they're emphasizing the importance of autophagy through intermittent fasting. They want to see people not eating 20 hours a day and achieving this, a similar result. That's where the thrust of their research has come from. But, I do think that, the person who got me dialed into all the sugar business was you, and also you love Dr. Lustig's stuff and Sugar the Bitter Truth. And Dr. Lustig's video is very clear that all inflammation is from sugar. And if you want to get rid of any inflammatory state, you eliminate sugar. And if your body's bias is toward, a strong reaction to sugar, because I think there are a lot of people who don't end up in an inflammatory state who consume modest amounts of sugar throughout the day as part of their lifestyle. But, not everybody can get away with that, of course. And, yes, I've heard, a lot of them say that the whole thing with Alzheimer's is diabetes type 3. And if you can avoid the inflammation, you extend your life, 100%. Yeah. Yeah,
it's up to you. I'll tell people a few times, and then if they don't get it, then I'll just walk away, because it's not up to me to either help your life or ruin your life. I just give out the information. But you know what we and I've been doing for all these years is we've been telling people to look at yeast overgrowth. And what do we say to them? Avoid sugar, gluten, and dairy. And improve yourself. As for the wine question, yeah, wine is a alcohol that's, it's metabolized as a sugar. It is going to cause problems. But what happens with a popular writer like Jason Fung, he's probably got a 6-book contract with a publisher, and the editor will say, because they've tried to say to me, you cannot tell people to stop sugar and wine and coffee and all these things. And they will say there's literature to show how that it's okay. Even Dr. Jacoby talks about coffee. What does he say? He says it has magnesium in it. I mean, he mentions using magnesium, but magnesium citrate, and he says it's important, but he skirts around it. It's not a therapy. So what we've done is used magnesium almost medicinally, I guess, to treat inflammation that can be caused by sugar for people who want to stay eating some sugar. But in customer service, when people are doing great and then maybe after 4 or 6 weeks they start having die-off symptoms of yeast, then we say, okay, now you got to be strict. And then you decide how strict you're going to continue to be on your protocol. But yeah, Jacoby, he says coffee's fine and put the butter in it, the bulletproof butter. But what I say about coffee, it's a diuretic. So it is going to pull out magnesium. Also, we have so many people who are adrenal depleted that I think coffee is too much of a stimulant. So, I mean, that's my reasoning about coffee. And, of course, the bias is that I never got hooked on coffee, so I don't crave it like I do sugar or my berries. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking up right now magnesium in coffee to see. Well, there's 7 milligrams in a cup of coffee, so just, forget about it. So, yes, very interesting times where we have to fight commercialism as well as publishers who won't let you say bad things. I mean, I've had publishers say to me, well, you have to make your content readable for a 5th grader. And I think that's why I I don't put big words in my blogs, but I certainly don't talk down to people. If you want to look up a word on Google, that's real easy. There was a time in the beginning of my blogs, Ginny, people would email me and say, what does this word mean? But now they're on to Googling. Back to you, Ginny.
Okay, very good. Well, here's some comments. You did talk about the wine. I will say that not all alcohol has sugar in it. The actual like vodka and tequila and things like that. If you're on a ketogenic diet, you can drink alcohol with which has no sugar whatsoever, no carbohydrate in it, like a tequila or vodka, gin, something like that, with a soda or water, scotch and water, and it's not even an issue.
So we can keep drinking margaritas then?
Well, you can't drink margaritas. I can, because I haven't read the book that you've read, and I'm protecting myself with my force field from what you're saying. I don't want to have to deal with it right this second. But I will say, but no, margaritas, no, it's not the way I make them. But you can do it. You could just do tequila. I don't know how much sugar's in the lime. We'd have to look and see. But you can definitely sip high quality tequila.
Right, and do your own experiment. And we do tell people to take real lime when they drink alcohol to help metabolize it. So I think it ends up being sort of an individual process where you figure out what you want and how you want to feel, how you want to feel in the morning after and all that. But seriously, I was pretty shocked when I realized that my burning feet were were due to carbs. That was
right.
a real eye-opener.
Yeah.
Right.
That would be shocking. Yeah. Okay, here's another couple comments. Let's see on the sugar. One person was asking about what's the healthiest sugar substitute, and can a sugar substitute cause the body to have a same reaction like, a glycol spike?
Yeah, apparently it can. Yeah, stevia is one that we use in our restructure, for example. Organic stevia, I like that. And I use just like sugar when I make Bob's lemonade, and when I used to be addicted to Frozanas, my frozen cacao bananas. But some people say that just stimulating that sweet taste will cause a body reaction and then cause you to crave more sugar. But see, that's getting very kind of picky. People do want to have a little bit of sugar, a little bit of sweetness in their life. It's related to nurturing. Mother's milk is very sweet. In Chinese medicine, they talk about the sweetness of fruit. Lets you know that you're getting a lot of nutrients. When fruit used to have all the minerals and vitamins before it was picked unripe and shipped thousands of miles. So we've gotten away from all those things, but we still keep the sweetness factor. But
hey, Karen, what about the fact that RNA drops, protect you with sugar consumption?
Well, I take drops every day, but I still got the burning feet, so I didn't quite make the cut there.
You need to up your drops.
Okay. I know. Mute yourself. I'm echoing. Yeah, it would be nice to think that we have a fail-safe, but partly in my world, I learn things about myself and pass on the information. And, I'm trying to make it a little palatable, but for people who are symptomatic, if you have peripheral neuropathy or someone who has Alzheimer's or someone who has cancer, you're just going to say to them, just stop the sugar, stop the chemicals. Why would you even try to make your body take on those insults when you want to be as healthy as possible?
And our restructure is sweet for people.
With stevia, yeah. It is, yeah. Exactly. If you want some sweetness, take restructure.
Our protein powder.
Okay, over to you, Ginny.
Okay, very good. All right. Here's an interesting conversation between two people on the chat line. Barbara typed in, I'm getting increasing pressure from my Medicare Advantage plan to come in for a physical and other so-called quote-unquote preventative health care. I'm getting daily emails and phone calls. I don't want anything to do with allopathic medicine, but I do need to keep my insurance up in case of an accident. Can they kick me off the policy if I don't cooperate? It's stressful for me. I've been taking the formula for 2 years, and they're very helpful. So Susie types in on the chat line and says, Barbara, I'm also on Medicare Advantage plan, and they do the same thing to me. Most of the time I don't answer the phone and never return their calls. I toss their letters in the recycling. When I've spoken to them, I tell them I'm a healthcare professional and I know how to take care of myself, and they back off. They've never threatened to cancel my insurance. They make money off of people like us with no claims. So then Barbara said, thank you. Carolyn, do you have a thought on that?
Well, it's interesting. Yes, they're just trying to get insurance to pay for you coming in for a physical. You'll pay our Kaiser plan now, I think I heard, is $125 for a copay. $125 for a copay. What is the doctor getting? What are they charging the insurance companies? So they make money just for people walking through the door, getting a blood test, getting a cardiogram. So, yeah, it's a money-making operation, that's for sure. It's not to keep you healthy. It's to find something wrong so that they can do more investigations or put you on medication. But
Right.
at the same time, if you can put up with the the BS, and you want to know what your cholesterol and your if you can get a magnesium RBC test, sometimes that information is useful, but you really have to be kind of barricaded against their demands for you to have more tests.
Yep. Very good. Very good. 602-666-6027 is the number to call this evening if you do have a question for Dr. Dean. We'll do a few more questions from our chat line, very animated tonight, and then we'll take our phone callers. So if you'd like to talk to Carolyn, you've got to call that number, 602-666-6027, and then you've got to hit *5 on your keypad to let me know that you have a question or a comment, and then I'll put you on the phone with her. Angela typed in, don't want to miss her comment. I was on the sugar-free Candida diet for 10 years. Horrible way to live, impossible to eat out or go to an event without a lot of trauma and embarrassment. Oh, Angela, that sounds terrible. Carolyn, thoughts on that?
Well, the fat diet helps there, the ketogenic diet, because the berries that I use with it, I think it's just a couple of grams, really. I cut up 2, good-sized strawberries, 2, and I have like 10 or 12 blueberries, and they're good size, and I have about 10, 15 raspberries. Seriously, that's it. They're all frozen. I chop up what I need to chop up, and I put sometimes I put kefir on it as well as the heavy whipping cream, and it makes enough of a frozen dessert that sometimes I get brain freeze before I finish because it's so it's a good size portion. And Ginny, you've seen what I make. It seems like a lot, but I really just start with a few pieces of fruit. And Angela, I think that's definitely safe on a yeast diet because berries are low carbs, and they, especially frozen, they should not be moldy. So there you go. There was something I was going to say. Oh, the business about alcohols. What I should say there, Ginny, is that when you have a lot of yeast overgrowth, one of the 178 different yeast toxins is alcohol. Just alcohol, ETOH alcohol. So if you drink alcohol and put that in with your alcohol you're already making, that's where us folks who have yeast overgrowth or a history of it, we can't take more than one drink, or, you've seen me stumble around after one margarita. So that is something that people with yeast overgrowth really have to take into consideration, and we hope that by using the yeast protocols, rotating the pico silver and the antifungal herbs, and when our soil-based probiotic gets out there finally, that people can get a better handle on their yeast overgrowth. So there.
Okay, very good. Susie typed in and said, I just read a label today on a carton of organic chocolate milk, quote unquote, 27 grams of sugar in a cup. Oh my God, people actually give that to their kids. It's organic, so it must be healthy. Ha, 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 ha. And that's true. I mean, the organic people, the organic certification people have done a good job of causing people to equate organic with healthy. And it's not the case at all. It's really sad.
Yeah, it's a very good point. The commercialization of our very lives and our diets. And, read labels. You will be shocked. And this whole gram business, we're not on metric in the U.S., but somehow they put metric on all the labels. And people don't know that 27 grams of sugar is 7 teaspoons. You divide 4. There are 4 grams per teaspoon of a powder or even a liquid. So look, 7 teaspoons of sugar, when at any one time there's only 2 teaspoons of sugar in your bloodstream. So then you're calling out your insulin. This is where young kids, as Dr. Robert Lustig says, young kids are developing obesity and diabetes.
I know it's so crazy. Nancy typed in, loving what Carolyn is sharing today, the kind of info I enjoy hearing and keep learning more and more about, and I'm reminded of the things that I've already been exposed to before. My nutritional healing program I've been following for 9 years teaches giving up sugar too. The body has to trust that its host is not going to keep sabotaging it when it's trying to heal you. She goes on and asks a little bit later, have you experimented with Lancano sweetener, monk fruit? It can be used one-to-one in recipes like sugar amounts and instead not to be absorbed into the body like other sweeteners and foods are. I have not experienced it yet, but I will make something with it one day.
Right. Monk fruit, subtropical melon, cultivated in Asia for hundreds of years, delicious, 100% natural way, blah, blah. Yeah, I don't cook desserts, so I just make my berries and heavy whipping cream used to make the frosanas. So I don't make cakes or cookies or anything to know about all these different sweeteners. So, yeah, I have no opinion on that.
I have it at my home. It's the only thing we've used for the last 2 years. I used to cut the white sugar in our house with it for Greg and the kids, and they don't even notice it anymore. So I just cut the white sugar out altogether, and it's in our sugar dispensers. It's really good to bake with. I usually use half of what it's called for baking, like if you're going to make a keto brownie. And yes, it does not have the same glucose effect the way that it's made. It doesn't. It has a lower glucose effect when you're doing keto. So I like it. I think it's great. Yeah, I use it a lot. Okay, here comes a question, Carolyn. Let's see. Hannah typed in, she said, my arrhythmia got aggravated after my physiotherapist applied shock therapy to my shoulder. I can't sleep. I feel so sick. Would magnesium help? How much should I take, and how long will it take to get rid of an arrhythmia?
Well, those are huge medical questions, I'm afraid. And I don't know what the shock therapy, I mean, when someone's in an arrhythmia, they'll try to put the pads on and shock a person back into rhythm. So you got shocked out of rhythm. I don't know what magnesium you're taking. Remag, and people will say to us if they have an arrhythmia caused by magnesium deficiency that it can be anywhere from a day to months before they are balanced in their structure and function. But if you got an arrhythmia out of the blue with the shocking, and it was based on you having a bit of magnesium deficiency, then magnesium should turn it around. I'm trying to be delicate here because the FDA won't let us talk about medical applications. And actually, I know I throw this out every once in a while about the FDA. When we had our first FDA consultant, who was a retired FDA consultant, she told us, the FDA, talk about how the FDA won't let you talk about things. So it's like the FDA wants us to promote the fact that they are so much up in my grill that they don't mind me saying this because it makes it look like they're in control of my world. Isn't that right there, Ginny?
That is absolutely correct. They said go on the radio and tell everyone that we have stopped you from being able to do X, Y, and Z. We want them to know that's how powerful we are. That's what they said.
Yep. Yeah.
That's exactly what they said. Anyway, that's enough of that. Okay, Marv typed in and said, hello, everyone. So glad to be able to hear such wonderful information. My nephew just informed me that he has prostatitis. He was given an antibiotic which he refuses to take. I gave him some of my Remag. Is that okay for him to take alongside if he chooses to take the antibiotic?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Remag, magnesium is like a food, so it'll never interfere. And in terms of prostatitis, usually it's a yeast overgrowth that antibiotics will make it worse. This is a generalization. So the yeast treatment includes Pico Silver to support the immune system.
Very good. We're at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
So many questions and phone calls for the next hour. So everybody hang in there. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. This is Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on achieveradio.com.
We'll be back with Hour 2 of Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, along with host Ginny Gunther, after this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com.
AchieveRadio.com. Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio. Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, the doctor of all conscious life here on AchieveRadio.com. So glad to have you back with us for this second hour and to hang around and just be in the glow of what is some of the most influential and inspiring health information available here on the planet right now. And we just so grateful to have Dr. Dean vetting out all this putting her own experiments in, just to the point of even, having the feed experiment that we talked about the last hour to really prove out the information that we're encountering these days about the dangers of processed foods. And it keeps getting more and more narrow in that path, but it's a good path and a healthy path for people to be on as far as extending life is concerned. Here on the chat line, we have a couple questions, Carolyn, and then we'll take some phone calls. One of the most fun questions tonight is, when are our vitamin C and our Flora Revive products going to be available?
Oh, I don't know. I think we said it a few weeks ago, and it's very sad, but one of the ingredients is still back ordered. And what's happening with the company is they want to make sure that when we start the process that we aren't going to stop it, so that they want to have continual access to this raw ingredient. So we just have to be patient, and we apologize.
Right. Yep, that's right. And that's one of the things about the challenges about making super advanced, highly absorbable, incredibly healthy, consistent formulas, as Carolyn is pointing out, and also using ingredients that are organic in nature and this kind of thing. And why some companies don't do it is because the consistency of the raw ingredients is very, very important to make sure that you have a consistent product every time. So we're working on it, and it will occur. It will happen, and it will happen in perfect timing, and then the whole world will rejoice. Okay, let's also say what Julie was talking about. Julie typed in, she said, I'm taking Remag and Remite. I've been able to stop my blood pressure medication. I was also on a statin, but I discontinued that as well. My cholesterol is still quite high. I drink Restructure each morning. Will my cholesterol eventually come down?
Well, this is what's interesting, Julie, because what your doctors say is high may not be high now. It may be, so I'd need to know the number to give you some input.
Okay, very good. We will wait for Julie to type that in. I think it's also the same Julie. Let me look here. Yes, same Julie who asked, how do you know if you have yeast overgrowth? Could yeast overgrowth and cholesterol be related, Carolyn? No. No.
I think, what my friend Roby Mitchell, Roby's an MD, PhD pharmacologist, and he did some studies with statin drugs, just with petri dishes and growing yeast, and he found the statin drugs would lower yeast. He says if statin drugs work at all, they work because they kill yeast. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, wow, that is very interesting.
Right. So there's a relationship there, and yes, if you go to support at rnareset.com and ask them for the yeast questionnaire, the Candida questionnaire, or just go and pick up the free ebook, Reset the Yeast Connection at drcarolyndeanlive.com, then you'll find out. But cholesterol is necessary for the body. It's necessary for the brain. It helps create the myelin sheath of the nerve cells and the lipid sheath of all the cells in the body. It's really important. It's important for every hormone to produce our hormones. The base is cholesterol. So this business is about making cholesterol the bad guy. It's falling apart. And as it's falling apart, there's a lot of push to have people take more statins, but the day will come when they'll stop doing that, but it probably won't be until they find some other drug groups to use. You really want to look at the book, what's it called, The Great Cholesterol Con by Malcolm Kendrick. He's like a Scottish MD comedian. He wrote a wonderful book. And you need that information to be able to defend yourself against statins.
Very good. Anna types in, hello, I've been having high blood pressure spikes in the last few weeks and months. Wondering what would you recommend for a remedy short or long term? I'm not on any blood pressure medication, and I don't want to be. I do take magnesium, however, not Remag yet. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we get emails like yours a lot in customer service where people have been taking magnesium for years and then it's not working anymore, and they have an attack of something. Someone just wrote in, I'll do this mailbag right now, Ginny. What a timely show just for me. I have Dr. Dean's 2013 Magnesium Miracle. I've used transdermal magnesium since 2012. I did order Remag, which arrived the day before. I was sent to the emergency room, admitted 7 hours later for atrial fibrillation. 2.5 days later, I was sent home with 5 prescriptions. I will not use the magnesium oxide prescription. See, they are starting to use magnesium, but they use a laxative so that people just can't stay on it. This afternoon, my order of Total Body Reset bundle arrived, and she said I took my first quarter teaspoon of Remag, and now I'm taking a half teaspoon. On Sunday afternoon, I listened to all 2 hours of the radio show. Wow, how quickly I am regaining strength, appetite, again able to sleep lying down, stand to cook. The 3 months of atrial fibrillation downhill is being reversed. So that's what happened to a person who was doing the transdermal magnesium since 2012, and it wasn't enough. And within, sounds like a few days of the Remag, she's starting to turn around. I think that's pretty incredible. Over to you, Ginny.
Oh, yep. Excellent. Sorry. Excellent. There we go. Sorry, I was on mute. Okay, excellent. So let's say also Julie typed back in and said her cholesterol is 283. Is that high?
It is. In med school, they said 240 was sort of the average. So that seems a little high. And what you do is you do a diet, a low cholesterol diet. You take your Remag, Remite, continue it. You do your realign as well, maybe restructure, look at yeast overgrowth, and do the Pico Silver. So there's a lot still to do, but that number is, in my opinion, is not dangerous, but it is going to trigger doctors to kind of push you because they think it's going to cause heart problems. I have a familial type of high cholesterol, and I'm not worried about it. I mean, what happened to my mom is she had the cholesterol probably in the 240s, 50s, and my other doctor sister encouraged her to go on a statin drug and a high blood pressure drug from the stress of nursing my dad, and she developed the twin side effects of leukemia from the drugs. That's my
gosh.
story. I know. But let me tell you a nice story. Here's Margaret's hip surgery report, Ginny.
Oh, goody.
So January 29th, Margaret had anterior hip replacement surgery. And this is Julie telling us. Julie is our customer service who takes care of people who are on the bundle. And Julie says that Margaret reports that on her first post-op appointment, 10 days after surgery, when the nurse took out her staples, and then, quote Margaret, as soon as she saw my bandage, even before removal, she commented that my incision will be well healed, and she could tell that, even before removing the bandage. She continued to express that on a scale of healing of 1 to 10, it's a 10 out of 10, amazing healing. According to her, she does not see many like this. She sees too many where there is swelling, redness all around, and some are awful looking and some with complications. I'm so thankful. I have not even for a day skipped my minerals in salted water. I've been on them all for 4 years. I even took my bottles plus restrictor packets with me when I went for surgery, knowing they would be there for me after surgery. I never said what was in the bottles other than water, but the nurses knew this was the only liquid I wanted, and they always made sure I had a bottle in easy reach. I was very thankful for that respect. I might add that of the people I noticed going through the same surgery and recovery, most were constipated after the surgery, and I had no problem. Once home, I added Pico Silver 4 times a day. On the morning of day 8, I took myself off hydromorphine with the guidance of a pharmacist. Now, let me sidebar here. It would be wise for people on meds to develop a relationship with the pharmacist, because I find that they do want to get people weaned off medications, and they will give you input. So that might be something people can think about. So she said she got off that. She got off extra-strength Tylenol. I go back to the doctor in a month, but he's already said he's very pleased. And he says, I'm pretty well symmetrical. She said it was bone on bone before surgery. My old joint was definitely gone. And she says Bill and her 2 sons and friends and neighbors have been outstanding in supporting her. So there. Thank you, Margaret. That's awesome.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Hold on. Okay, excellent. Yeah, that's very exciting, and couldn't happen to a more wonderful person. Margaret is just amazing woman. Anna says, thank you for reading my question. Blood pressure on the radio. Would it be best to get the Remag now for high blood pressure if I can't order the whole package of products at this time? Thank you very much.
Yes, most people do start with the Remag, Anna, and while you're taking it, you listen to more of the archives and read the Remag booklet and get yourself familiar with the importance of magnesium. Okay, very good.
Very good. And you can start now by using the sea salted water, Anna. You can start by putting a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt into a quart of water, and that will help with the blood pressure as well, because the water will get in the cells instead of on the outside of the blood cell. Marv says that, Carolyn, until Dr. Dean's Whole C Reset is available, what else is out there? I really don't want to, but with this cold weather, I do need some good vitamin C. So what are you thinking about that, Carolyn?
Well, I don't know a brand offhand. You just have to go into a health food store or online and see what they have as a food-based vitamin C. I don't know what else to tell people. There are a couple out there. Have you come across any specific one that you like, Ginny?
I do get one from Whole Foods. It is a whole food vitamin C. I can't remember what it's called at the time right now, but they do have them if you go into the little the little Whole Food department. They do have. I just asked them for something that comes from food, is food-based. So I think it should be. I think you could probably do that. And it won't be that much longer, but I do think you could probably do that.
And Grown by Nature, actually, we used to recommend them, but then, they periodically have shipping problems. So that's why we decided to make our own, because we kept recommending Grown by Nature, and it would be like every year or two they'd have a problem and their product wouldn't be available.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Barbara in California, just as a little sidebar, typed in and said, I just did my yearly physical at Kaiser, 205 cholesterol, considered high. The doctor wanted me to take a statin. My blood pressure was 143/98, also suggested by my doctor to take a medicine. I've been taking Remag Plus for 6 months. I have no plan on taking any meds. Very good, Barb.
Well,
Thanks for sharing that.
what is crazy is a 205. Supposedly the cutoff is 200. So for 5, they're going to tell you to take a statin. It's just it's unbelievable. It just shows that they're following a recipe. And 143/98, yeah, that looks a bit elevated, but we don't know how much of it was white coat syndrome. So I would look at that. I'd make sure I was on 2.5, 3 teaspoons of Remag, look at all the complement formulas, and in the total biology sense, look at, what you're trying to control outside your home that can tighten up your blood vessels. I mean, that's a bit dramatic. And as I'm rambling here, I'm looking up blood pressure in my total biology notes, blood pressure, and it says, it actually says about men, something outside the house that they consider their territory that they want to conquer is pressuring them. Blood from the house goes along the arteries to the outside where I work. The veins are the way back to the house. When something that touches the arteries, like an attack, then the blood vessels tighten up. Now, I don't know if any of that relates, but it's something to think about. What is the pressure I'm putting on myself that's manifesting as blood pressure? This one little vignette in my class, it said a woman age 83 was part of a reading group. They were reading 3 to 4 books per week from library. Every time there was a meeting, she would like to be at the meeting, but she couldn't be at the meeting. So if a person is here and would like to control territory away from them, they experience a loss of territory, and it can manifest as blood pressure. It sounds bizarre, but as I said, just to be able to think of it that, what is my body? What is my body trying to tell me? What is the conflict that my body thinks I have to develop blood pressure in order to control? And if you want to look at the total biology, we can send you a FAQ on it, a book to read, someone to consult with, Dr. David Holt. There are ways to really focus in on what's going on there. But like I said, it may be just white coat syndrome. So there you go, Barbara.
Excellent response. Thank you. Lynn typed in, I'm a 47-year-old woman. I began Remag and Remite, a quarter teaspoon each. I began intermittent fasting, doing the 20 hours not eating, 4 hours eating. During fasting, everything's fine. However, when I break the fast and eat, I get a racy heart and anxiety, which lasts about 10 to 15 minutes. Not fun. My NP believes it's due to possible thyroid and adrenal gland issues. My chiropractor says it's due to potassium deficiency because on my second consecutive day I got a migraine headache. Your thoughts, Dr. Dean, and will I need to purchase a potassium supplement or just up 1 or 2 of your products? FYI, the food I do eat to break my fast is not keto, and it is a full meal. It's my way of rewarding my fast.
Well, I mean, that's a huge question, Lynn. I mean, it could be that you're eating something you're allergic to. I mean, that's the way we test people for allergies, is avoid it and then eat a bunch of it. So what you would do is look at what you're eating and experiment with not eating what you've been eating. Try something different so you can sort this out. In terms of potassium, the blood testing for potassium is fairly accurate, so you could get a blood test to check that. The quarter teaspoon of each, of course, you're just in the early stages, so perhaps you should spend some time building up your minerals so that you're deficiencies for the 20 hours and then maybe eating something that's allergic. So that's what I personally would think, not to be medical on you in any way.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. Okay, 602-666-6027 is the phone number to call. We've got callers, Carolyn. Let's take a few phone calls, and that'll give everybody a chance to call in. If you'd like to talk to Carolyn, again, the number's right at the studios on the web, 602-666-6027, and then when you get through to the studio, hit *5 on your keypad. That'll let me know you've got a question or comment. So you ready to take a phone call, Carolyn?
No.
Yeah.
No, the problem is we've got a whole bunch of mailbag. I'm catching a plane in a couple of hours, and I will not be able to answer this mailbag by email for days. So we've got to deal with the mailbag, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Okay, Jenny says, okay, let's go. Number one, and there's like a dozen. What are your thoughts on taking aspirin? Can magnesium be substituted? Well, aspirin, thank you so much for all you do, etc. She's not saying what to take it for, so I'll just say generally, doctors say take aspirin to thin your blood and avoid this and that. Personally, I wouldn't do it because even one aspirin causes bleeding in the intestinal tract, and that's how it thins the blood. And what I thin my blood with is half my body weight in pounds. Divide that pounds in half and drink that much water and put sea salt in it to keep from being dehydrated, which is what thickens the blood. Magnesium cannot be substituted for blood thinners. It's not a blood thinner, but it helps balance the blood from being thickened by too much calcium. That's what magnesium does for the blood. Number two, doctor, I have 2 stents. I know from my last blood panel I was deficient in magnesium and went to solve that, found you. I can tell you I take your products daily and several issues have disappeared. A big one for me was cramping. I ride my bike 200 miles a week and would cramp mostly in the evening. Not anymore, thanks to you. Then he asked me about left ventricular heart dysfunction in his 30-year-old son who a few years back actually fell over at the LA airport and died, and they called it left ventricular heart dysfunction. Do you think something as simple as Remag would have saved him? I really, really, really don't know an answer to that, Sam. I don't know if he had a pre-existing heart condition or if they even knew it. Sam is saying he went to UCLA Medical Center a short time before this. They sent him away not finding anything. So I'm afraid I couldn't say. When they talk about left ventricular heart dysfunction, it's a new term that I know I haven't said on the show or in my books really, and it's usually to do with heart failure. So a 30-year-old, though, isn't going to have heart failure, so can't say more than that. Number 3, been told if I don't have my aortic valve replaced, I'll be in congestive heart failure and die within 2 years. Well, that's a terrible prediction. Scheduled for a diagnostic angiogram. I have been taking 750 milligrams of magnesium for years. My serum range at the last blood work was 2 points above the recommended range. I was instructed to stop it. Any suggestions? Well, the serum magnesium is just going to test what's in the serum, not what's in the cells. And if you didn't stop your magnesium, in this case for the serum, probably for several days beforehand, then it's going to measure high. And it's really not, the magnesium that's not Remag is not that well absorbed. Remag is absorbed into the cells, so it's not going to show up high on a serum test. It will show up normal to high normal in ionized magnesium test, which is not available. Number 4, if one takes your magnesium, does one need metformin? I know this is a medical question. I'm supposed to take metformin but don't like to take drugs. It's touted as a safe drug for diabetes. I think diet is better. Diet is better. You stop your carbs, stop your sugar, and you stop the insulin from rising and then causing insulin resistance and causing you to have sugar in your blood. And seriously, just look up the side effects of metformin. There's physical weakness, diarrhea, gas, weakness, muscle pain, upper respiratory tract infection, low blood sugar potential, abdominal pain, low B12 levels. So, I mean, what happens about them saying it's safe for diabetes is it's been used for a long time, and it's almost like it's been given a pass because it's been used for a long time, but they really haven't done the studies on it. I started seeing some metformin studies recently, and people are surprised that it has all these side effects. It's really quite fascinating. Number 5, been diagnosed with pulmonary arterial hypertension. It's a specific type of heart failure. I'd like to hear your take on being healthy after this diagnosis. So that's high blood pressure that affects the arteries in the lungs and the right side of the heart. So I don't think we've had people who've told us they've used our products for pulmonary hypertension. Are you aware of that, Ginny, at all? Pulmonary hypertension in customer service?
That does not sound familiar to me.
Right. It's rare.
No. What is it?
I don't know what. It's where the blood vessels on the lung side of the heart get tight. So if that's the case, then tightening of any blood vessels can be related to magnesium deficiency, but I don't even know any studies about pulmonary arterial hypertension and magnesium, but you could look that up, Valerie. I'm sorry, can't be more help. Number 6, what causes heart palpitations, especially at night? EKG results are normal. Well, it's hard to say. Heart palpitations, they can be, usually it's an electrolyte deficiency because that's what the electrical conductivity of the heart depends on, the electrolytes. Normal EKG, that's great. It means it's not atrial fibrillation, especially at night. So that implies that you're activated at night. I don't know if you mean while you're sleeping. Some people, their adrenals are a little bit hypersensitive. You'll have a dream and wake up and your heart will be beating and, jump around a bit. So it could be adrenals, could be magnesium deficiency. What you would do is read some of our free e-books about REMAG, read the atrial fibrillation, Remineralize the Heart, because that talks a lot about the heart, obviously, and see if that gives you any input. It could be coffee at night that you're drinking, or sugar, or wine. So I think I listed like 33 triggers for heart palpitations, mostly focused on atrial fibrillation in that AFib book, and that's at drcarolyndeanlive.com under books. Number 7, how long will it take for the 50 to 69% blockage of my right carotid artery to be diminished with your REMAG saturation program? That is a medical question. I will never be able to answer that. She says she's on 3 teaspoons a day of REMAG, 1 of REMITE, plus Restructure and Realign. So that's a great start. Don't know how long she's been on it. What we do know, and we just depend on our customers to get back to us until we can afford the billion-dollar studies, but one of our customers, he said his wife, after 3 months on the REMAG, and I don't even know how much now, her carotid artery calcification was down by 40%. So magnesium, especially the REMAG, is going to help dissolve calcium. Number 8, do you have an answer as to why only the left carotid would have plaque buildup and the right is clear? Have no idea. Some people are right-sided about their symptoms of anything. Some people are left-sided. I think in total biology, the left is related to friends, family, and children. The right is related to a partner. So the left carotid, if you want to say it's a conflict in your world, is there a conflict with friends, family, or children? And, of course, the REMAG is going to help solubilize calcium. Testimonial. Oh, that's sweet. You are a rare blessing to us all. It's not easy to crusade against the mainstream, and it will take time, disappointment, and effort to influence the status quo, as history clearly demonstrates. But I feel this is one mission that is destined to succeed. Cool. Your book saved my life and many others, I'm sure. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Very sweet. Number 10, a gentleman, 88 years old, 2 heart attacks, 5 stents a year ago, put on 6 heart pills, lost weight, but then he had shortness of breath, brain fog, dizzy spells, went to a naturopath, put him on magnesium and CoQ10. Within a week, he had his appetite back and was feeling much better, and his doctor was amazed. Talked his doctor into taking him off statins and off all the drugs except one. He takes his blood pressure every day, which has been around 100 over 70. Would like to know if the damage done to my heart will heal over time. And I believe absolutely that it will. The body is quite capable of building a whole new body in 7 years. And the 7 years of it, that's sort of for the brain, but the heart can build with the right building blocks. And that's what we talk about, is getting the building blocks. Magnesium is the main building block. So I really believe that can happen, that the heart can be healed. And that's a mailbag, Ginny. That didn't take too long.
Very good. Okay, excellent. Okay, so do you want to take some phone calls now?
Yes, I can take phone calls now.
Okay,
yes.
Very good. Let's go to area code 917 in the great state of New York. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, Dr. Dean. This is David from New York. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for calling.
Yes, you're welcome. We spoke last week about my high calcium. This week I just want to mention that I'm already 2 weeks on the REMAG, and my heart palpitation is gone. So that's good.
Yes. Very good.
I want to ask, yeah, it is very good. I'll give you a star when I see you. I want to ask you a question, not on the heart, if it's possible.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you know if I can do 1 drop REMAG to 15 drop water for eye drop?
I think it might be too strong. What I would do is put the 1 drop in the 15 drops of saline, not straight water, saline. You can get from a drugstore saline without preservative that they use for contact lenses. And then what I would do is taste that and see if it's strong. And then, even, with your finger, put a little up to your eye and sort of play with it.
Okay.
So that's how you would test it, okay?
You never try it or test it, or you don't know anything about it?
I've never tried to test that. I don't know if any of our customers have. They do all kinds of strange things. Ginny, have you heard that?
We discourage people from using REMAG in their eyes. It's too harsh. We do talk about the RNA drops. Did doing that in the saline?
Yeah, the RNA drops, that's another one of our products, and people will put 1 drop in a little eye cup to help the eyes. Now, what are you working on your eyes? Is it for cataract?
No, I don't have cataract. I want to prevent cataract. I want to get rid of my reading glasses, and I want to feel better. I want to. I'm using an MSM mixed with water, and it's less itchy. But I want to get it better. Maybe magnesium, something with all of its capability. Maybe it can do something. I will try that. I will do that. I'm not going to get blind, but I thought you know something about it.
Well, no, and you'll do the experiment, and then you'll call us back. We're not here next week, but you'll call us back and let us know how it goes, okay?
Sure. I'll let you know if it's a burning sensation or anything like that. I might do even 20 drop of water,
exactly,
and make it less stronger. Thank you very much, Dr. Dean.
You're welcome. Thank you for keeping in touch. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Carolyn, we're here next week. It's the week following we're not here.
Oh, okay. Okay, here's something I have. I think it was a Facebook. You might have seen it, Ginny, where someone said the NHS, which is the National Health Service in the UK, their advice about magnesium, don't take too much. And so I fired off to Ginny, who probably put it on Facebook. I can't seem to get in. I said, those few reports that surface about magnesium being too much or don't take too much or being scary, they're usually medical errors where a person in hospital is given way too much magnesium by IV and isn't able to clear it fast enough before it throws all the electrolytes out of balance. This is not happening in people who take oral supplements of magnesium. Then I say, think of the magnesium citrate that's used as a bowel preparation before colonoscopy. It's used as a strong laxative to flush you out completely. Doctors advise patients to take 2 to 3 10-ounce bottles of magnesium citrate liquid. Each ounce has 1,745 milligrams. Now, we're talking about a teaspoon of Remag being 300 milligrams. Each ounce has 1,745 milligrams. That means 17,450 milligrams per bottle. If you take 3 bottles, I'm doing the math here. If you take 3 bottles, that's 52,350 milligrams of magnesium citrate. Divide that by 100, that's 52.35 grams. Divide that by 4, the amount of grams in a teaspoon, that's 13 teaspoons. So, but the milligrams, 52,000 milligrams, and that's not killing people. Seriously, I've never found reports online that doing a magnesium citrate bowel prep that your doctor tells you to do is harmful. And yet they'll put out a report, oh, don't take too much magnesium, stay with the 300 milligrams. I mean, is the irony not affecting everybody on the chat line? Give them a yay, Jenny. Tell them that this is serious. Okay, so at the same time that... So at the same time that I read this, I get this note from wherever. I think it's Medscape. The FDA cracks down on the illegal sale of Alzheimer's cures. Mm-hmm. The U.S. So they've sent out 12 warning letters, 5 online advisories, selling illegally 58 products. Illegally means they're just saying, look, this can help you. And the products cited are unapproved new drugs and are misbranded drugs that claim to prevent, treat, or cure Alzheimer's. Now, they're defining it as drugs because they're saying that people are claiming it helps people with Alzheimer's. And what I've been reading in Sugar Crush, Jacoby's book, he talks about the sugar problem with Alzheimer's. It's diabetes type 3, and there is no cure. Is there a cure for Alzheimer's? No. Nada. None. So they won't even let people choose to buy their own potentially an Alzheimer's treatment to help them through the horrors of Alzheimer's in their friends or family or themselves. So I mean, it is pretty crazy, and what they say is any products making unproven drug claims could mislead consumers to believe that such therapies exist and keep them from accessing therapies that are known to help support the symptoms of the disease. Or worse, as some fraudulent treatments can cause serious or even fatal injuries. There's never been a death from vitamins or minerals or even herbs. Never. And the Orthomolecular News Service puts that out every year. They garner the statistics from the poison centers and say, nope, sorry. So all this business about saving you from fraudulent treatments that could cause serious or even fatal injuries, it's just fake news. It's horrible. Simply put, health fraud, scams prey on vulnerable populations, waste money, and often delay proper medical care. So yeah, we're in a real bind here where they're worried about your pocketbook, but they'll charge, as they do me, $1,800 a month for what? If I go in, I have to pay a copay of $125, and I just get drugs. So there. Back to you, Ginny.
So there. Okay, let's see where we're at here. Let's take another phone call, area code 562-562. Beautiful Long Beach, California. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, my name is Shane. Dr. Dean, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Shane. I'm here.
Hi. I've been taking your products for 2 years and 2 months, around that, and it's been great. So I have a testimonial, but I really have questions related to the heart. So I'll give a testimony real quick, and then we'll get to the question.
Sure.
So I've basically been doing the full protocol. I don't quite get to the protein shake. I've probably done. That's the one thing I probably don't do regularly. But outside of that, with everything else, I've got rid of chronic headaches completely. Got rid of tendinitis, plantar fasciitis. I've reduced my athlete's foot, but I still have to work on your yeast protocol. So but it's much better than what it was. I don't wear glasses anymore. I can't say my eyes are 20/20, but they're definitely stronger and less fatigued, and I don't feel the need to wear them. I can see 20/20 to read, and basically just signs at night are a little tough. But they seem to be getting better. My driver's license changed, so I don't have to wear glasses on according to the law anymore. Canker sores are completely gone unless I fly. When I fly, it seems like inflammation comes back up. That's also with headaches and whatnot. Food poisoning. I used to get food poisoning maybe once or 3 times a year. I haven't had any food poisoning at all. And I do take Blue Ice Royal, and I've never had even a fish burp from that product. Yeah. So that's really good. Other things, just real quickly, I had a cavity. I actually emailed you a little bit, and I was able to remineralize a cavity. It wasn't, it was actually 4 cavities. It wasn't all your products. I did use a toothpaste that had calcium carbonate in it, but I used your silver product and magnesium and the whole protocol. And other than that, my weight's been very stable. I do attempt to do the keto diet, but it's not exactly perfect. But my weight is definitely more stable. Much easier to not go up and down since I've been on your products. So outside of that, I'll get to the questions related to the heart. I did have a little.
Let me just comment. Hang on, Shane. Let me just comment. But first, how old are you?
I'm 40 years old. I've been on your product since I was 38.
Cool. Okay, so here's, if you listened earlier, I was talking about Sugar Crush, Jacoby's book. Now, he's saying that tendinitis, plantar fasciitis, they're all sugar-related and kind of injuries plus sugar. And I guess what I wondered when I read the book is the magnesium, is the Remag kind of treating the inflammation from sugar? So the question is, did you reduce your sugar these past 2 years as well as everything else?
Yeah, this isn't like a perfect experiment, but I would say I got better at everything, but what really kicked it off was your protocol. Yeah, but yes, I have been getting better and better at sugar. But originally I was not taking your protocol for the tendinitis. I was actually taking it for a stiff neck, which I actually still have a slightly stiff neck. It's better. But all of a sudden I noticed I wasn't getting headaches, and my very serious tendinitis in my entire right arm was gone. And it was shocking. But no, at that point, which was about 6 months into the protocol, so 6 months into your program, which I wasn't even doing the full protocol for the first 3 months, it definitely wasn't a huge, giant shift in diet at that point. But since then, once you start seeing that things are working, you're like, oh, how can I even get better? And
yeah.
And
it's good. Go ahead.
The only thing that's brought back my tendinitis, and I'm pretty sure that this is a pretty clear opinion, clear test. It was I went to a doctor I had lightheadedness for a little bit, and he put me on some other things, and it actually did get rid of my lightheadedness. But one thing he put me on was fairly high dose of vitamin D, D3. And my tendinitis actually came back really quickly. And the minute I slowed down dramatically on that, so I went from 10 IUs to maybe 5 IUs every 3 days, my tendinitis went away again. So that was pretty clear with the vitamin D.
And what that sort of confirms too, Shane, is that your tendinitis was more related to magnesium deficiency, because the vitamin D is going to use up your magnesium and then make you susceptible again. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not positive. I definitely am from a nutritional ghetto, so I wouldn't rule out sugar. But there's definitely something up with the vitamin D for sure, and which is related to magnesium.
Okay, what's your question?
Last week I actually had a little bit of a heartburn, and then I got a panic attack, which feels kind of like the onset of a heart attack. So I went to the ER, and they did a little X-ray. They said everything was fine. I have a real bad family history, and so then he said, "Oh, go to a cardiologist, start getting a workup, and so we can, you can definitely know where you're at and things." And I just want to confirm. So I went there. Basically, everything you said is pretty much how it works at the cardiologist. And I just want. So I have a few questions here. I said, look, I've been taking this magnesium for 2 years. I'm pretty sure I have a high. My levels are pretty high. Should not that? Because he wants me to do a calcium test. And I said, shouldn't the magnesium? Yeah. I said, shouldn't the magnesium help decalcify? And he said very confidently, no, absolutely not. It's a waste of time as far as that's concerned. So from your conversation, you're saying that that's not true, that magnesium does decalcify.
Yeah, I mean, it's a biochemical fact. It's just that we never learned it in medical school, but they wanted, and the coronary artery scan, calcium scan, I think it's an ultrasound, so it's not going to be dangerous, but it would be interesting to see. They're using that now to determine the risk factor for heart disease, that they say they're slowly stepping away from cholesterol and saying, well, actually it's this calcium building up in the coronary arteries that's the problem. But the only problem there is, they say, they admit they don't have any drugs for that. So if you have calcium in your coronary arteries, they'll just tell you to take statin drugs, and if your blood sugar's a little elevated, they'll tell you to take diabetes drugs. But as we're seeing from all kinds of people about their ejection fraction and their heart improving, and that one lady with her carotid arteries, 40% improvement. A woman told us that she got off her adult diapers because she thought that her bladder was a bit calcified and she wasn't able to hold her urine. She said that passed, that was gone. So we know clinically that it's working. Again, when I have the $1 billion to do the studies, I'll start looking into these things. In the meantime, people are proving it on their own particular self-experiment.
Something I left out was, since I've been on your protocol, my blood pressure went from high to absolutely perfect, and it's been stable perfect for about over a year and a half. But he said that the calcium score is going to be somewhere between, let's say, 20 and 700, and it should be around 20 for someone my age. If I get a score that's, let's say, 300, or what, is there a scary score that you would go to allopathic medicine, or should I just keep on this road of
well, I know it's a good question, Shane. It's the test hasn't been around that long. They really don't know what to do with it. A couple of years ago, they thought, we shouldn't even try to do this because there is no drug for calcium. So what I hope to see over the years is people who get their calcium scores and do the products, and they don't have a high level. But what you're expressing here is you're kind of afraid to go in. They'll tell you you have a score of 300-400, and you won't know what to do about it because you've been taking the products for 2 years, and you figure you shouldn't have any calcium, but, yada, yada, yada. So it's, I don't know. Personally,
what do you think
if my blood pressure was fine, my cardiogram was fine, if I felt good, I wouldn't go for testing for anything.
Right.
Now you have a family history, okay, right, but that doesn't mean you have to follow what they did. It's not genetic. None of this is genetic. What you could do is talk to David Holt and talk about the conflict of heart and where you might be fitting into that conflict for some reason because, you got heartburn, you had a panic attack, you went to the ER, and that's led to this, let's do this test and we'll find out something wrong with you and then we'll give you a bunch of drugs. But I can't tell you not to get the test because that would be medical.
Yeah. Yeah, he basically said if it's high, we're going statins and aspirin, which basically, I read the books you talked about reading. Forget the Scottish guy. Yeah, and the other things outside of Holtz is, vitamin C and L-lysine, which is in your protein shake. I was thinking of just taking, and I already take 800 milligrams of vitamin C. Whole food vitamin C. I was just thinking of taking a little L-lysine and maybe taking a K2. I already kind of do every once in a while take a K2 outside of the blue eyes, just for precaution.
Right. Yeah, you could look at, I don't know if you heard Dr. Stephen Sinatra on our show, Shane, but you could check out what Sinatra talks about, maybe some of his CoQ10, and just look at his stuff because he's the cardiologist, and there are things that he uses because I'd rather you take a few things, even heaven forbid that I should say it's just a placebo. It's not. It's going to help you, and it's going to help heal your heart, but it is also going to relieve your nervousness about this whole thing. So I wouldn't say it. I would say that would be that could be useful for you on many levels.
Yeah, the placebo is definitely important because it works. It's a double-edged sword. I go into the doctor and he basically says, "There's this number now. here we're going to block your cholesterol, and you're going to take aspirin, which isn't great. So it's a double-edged sword with this placebo, because I'd rather be on the other placebo where I'm, K2's got all kinds of benefits.
Well, you're getting that in your Blue Ice Royal, don't forget.
Right. No, I know I'm already getting everything. With the other situation I had, okay.
No, just we've only got a minute left, Shane. That's why I'm trying to spin this a little faster. But yeah, just do some extras just as insurance. Definitely, I would do that.
Well, thank you, Dr. Dean. It's been great listening to you. You've been very consistent in what you say over I've listened to 5 years of your radio. It's been great. It's great to email you and get some info. And for the future, since I'm on the phone with you, if you can look at do a show on pesticides related to yeast, because that seemed to be an issue I had, and it's all worked out now. But I'd love to hear you. I know you've talked about it before, but if you could do a show on that in the future, that'd be great. Okay,
I'll check it out. Pesticides and yeast, stimulating yeast growth. Okay.
Yeah, it seems.
Okay, young man, thank you so much. You're a great testimonial. I appreciate you being so thorough. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, listeners.
All right, everybody, back next week. Thanks, Shane.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, Bob.
You've been listening to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Till next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
AchieveRadio.com